What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to some sports chat with your boy Cbass. As you all have seen, I've kind of been gone for about 2 days after posting. Don't worry, we got plenty of content coming to you. I just took a couple days just to try to see what direction I fully want to go with the channel, if I want to make multiple channels, because I really love the sports chat feature. That is probably one of my favorite parts. I love talking sports. I want you to talk sports back with me. So today we're going to go through a few things. So we're going to make sports chat more into like a once a week thing. And with that, we're just going to break down some of the storylines throughout the week. So I'll be keeping track of what's going on in the NFL and the NBA and MLB and all those sort of things that are going on. And NHL, hockey, you have golf. I'm not a big golf fan, but listen, we can talk some golf. Tiger Woods, there you go. No, just kidding. We can go even further than that. But that is our goal, is to go into a lot of those things and just try to say, hey, let's see what happens. With that, I do just want to welcome you back for another episode of Sports Chat with your boy Cbass. Alright, so the first topic I want to get to, it's actually kind of a dual topic. So we're going to roll right into the other one right off of it, which is going to be the Tua Tagovailoa situation. Yeah, get tongue-tied. Tua supposedly had some players come out anonymously about him and said, hey, we don't believe in you. They went to one of the reporters down in Miami and said that. Now, this is where we got to look at this. So I haven't really seen it like outside of more local or more like Dolphins fans kind of reporting it. But the reporter that says this is a reporter that his character has been questioned many times before. Is a reporter that has made up stories about anonymous sources before. So we have to come to the understanding of whether or not we should believe this or we shouldn't. So when I first heard this, and because ESPN and Fox Sports and all that were reporting it like crazy, like it was a great story, without fact checking a lot of it. I mean, that's crazy. So I know you say, well, how do you fact check anonymous sources? Well, you fact check who wrote the original story. There are people that are out there that'll say, hey, original story, and it's legitimate, or that would say anonymous sources, and it's legitimate. If Adam Schefter would have came out and said, well, I have some anonymous sources that are telling me da-da-da, we would believe that, because Adam Schefter has been right. Now, we won't believe the fake Adam Schefter accounts like flipping ESPN does. And for those of you that don't know that, just go back and research Miami Fire's offensive coordinator Chan Gailey. And ESPN released like 3 days before, oh, Adam Schefter reports that it's happening, and all it was a fake Adam Schefter account. So again, it's an ESPN article without researching, deciding to post stuff, and then they wind up getting over here just gypped. I miss the days when ESPN was truly sports news. When you would turn on Sports Center and you would see highlights from every game. Everything that happened, you would hear highlights. Now you turn on ESPN and all you hear is Stephen A. Smith. Like, that's boring. Stephen A. Smith is wrong 90% of the time. He's a terrible reporter. He gives you his ideas, which are worth nothing. And don't worry, his little buddy Max Kellerman's worse than he is. It's terrible. So let's get back on this Tua situation, because I got a couple of thoughts here. Outside of the game against Buffalo, Tua didn't play terrible. There was 2 games in which he got benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick. One would be Denver, And my thing about that is that's his first time going into Denver, playing in Denver in that mile high atmosphere, yes, he's going to struggle. Yes, there's going to be frustrations. Yes, a lot of stuff's going to happen, especially in a season where COVID is really just turned around your season. Remember, we didn't play Denver when we were originally supposed to play Denver. Our Denver game got moved because of some positive tests that happened with New England. I believe it was New England that had, maybe it was Denver. One of the two had them. So it got moved all around so our bye week was moved, everything like that. And then that's where it kind of comes into a little bit of a question, because originally Fitzpatrick was supposed to start till the bye week, which was week 11. But then our bye week got moved to week 7. And so Brian Flores and everybody did the same thing before. They decided to go ahead and keep it at the bye week. So that's when Tua took over. So yes, Tua got benched in 2 games. So the second game would have been Oakland, which Tua did not play terrible. The thing is with Tua is, and it's something that I think I see and I think a lot of people see, is Tua doesn't really like to take that chance yet. He didn't like to try to force a ball in there, try to throw a receiver open. And that's a skill that very many people can't do, to throw a receiver open. So you have to trust your receivers in that scenario and know where they're going to be at. And know that they're going to be in the same spot that they're supposed to be every single time. So Tua kind of messed up a little bit there. But I do think that also, if you look at Chan Gailey and some of the play calling, when Tua was in, it was a super conservative play calling. When Fitzpatrick was in, it was air it out, throw it out. So those are some things that I think you have to look at too. So then, like I said, I think I said Oakland, it's Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Raiders, he gets benched in that game as well, and we come back and we win a miracle game. And then we go to Buffalo. Fitzpatrick gets COVID, can't play, and Tua has a terrible game. Buffalo has a really good defense. Tua is a rookie, playing in Buffalo for the first time. We have to understand this about Tua. Tua went to the University of Alabama. He is from Hawaii. He is playing in Miami. Tua doesn't understand what cold is yet. And then you go, by the way, if you can hear kind of the background, my bad. Then you go to flipping Buffalo, right off the lake, in a cold, cold game. I expected Tua to struggle. I was just hoping we could just sneak out and he would prove me wrong. So for anybody that said, hey, I didn't expect Tua to struggle, you were wrong. So here's my second thought on this. If you are an anonymous source, and this truly did happen, and you went and called out your quarterback, who was a rookie, and said you don't think he can make the plays, you should be off the team right now. And I'm not saying because you called out the quarterback you should be doing that. I'm saying it because you're not a man and you couldn't come out and say, hey, you know what? I love this football team, but I am afraid that Tua is not that person. You're not a man to come out and own up to your own words. Are you kidding me? You got these guys that are playing football that are hitting the weight rooms ready to kill each other every Sunday, but can't be man enough to come out and use their own words. Stop hiding behind your agents. Stop hiding behind reporters and come out and say something. I don't care who made these anonymous statements. If it came out that Xavier Howard made these anonymous statements, I'd cut him tomorrow. If it came out that Devontae Parker made these statements, I'd cut him tomorrow. Mike Gesicki, I'd cut him tomorrow. Because to me, I feel like you should build a team that is honest with each other and that will continue to push each other to be the best team going forward. Now on to the other story that ties right into this. Deshaun Watson trade rumors. Deshaun Watson is unhappy. He's unhappy with ownership in Texas, in Houston. He's unhappy just being there. He's unhappy with the decisions that ownership made. He did not feel like he's been taken serious, and he has asked that he be moved on to another team. Miami is one of those teams that he is reportedly said that he will be willing to waive his no trade clause for. And I keep seeing these trade offers that are like kind of mock trade offers of what it would take to get him. If it is going to take you Tua Tagovailoa, the 3rd pick this year, the 18th pick this year, a first rounder next year, to get Deshaun Watson, you are out of your mind. You are out of your mind. Tua, albeit playing mediocre, maybe that would probably be the best way to do it for a rookie, does not deserve to be traded in that situation and be considered as minimal asset at that point. The 3rd pick in the draft could wind up being Penei Sewell, could wind up being Devonta Smith. That 3rd pick should be highly valued at this point. There is tough playmakers, and we're not even onto the Jamar Chases and stuff like that. There is quarterbacks in this draft that people believe could be taken that high. We need to look at this trade and say, hey, Deshaun Watson is unhappy with you. That he is. Extremely unhappy. And here's what we will do. In my mind, Deshaun Watson is proven. He is signed to a long contract. So I would look at it and say, hey, this is what I will give you. I will give you Tua. I'll give you our 18th pick. And I will give you a first next year for Deshaun Watson. I am keeping the 3rd pick. You might say why. And maybe I throw in a little sweetener in there and throw in a 3rd rounder. But you would say, why would you do that? Is he not worth? I don't think that you can leverage your future to go out and get a Deshaun Watson. I think right now at the 3rd pick, there is playmakers there. There is an offensive tackle that could be there. There are players there that make too much sense and fill some real big needs. You'd say, well, you drafted 3 players last year to fill your offensive line. We did that. We drafted a 1st rounder in Austin Jackson, a 2nd rounder in Robert Hunt, and a 4th rounder in Solomon Kinley. But I do think that you still have some issues there. And I think going forward, what the best bet would be if Penei Sewell was there, to draft him, put him at left tackle. I mean, he's a once-in-a-generation type prospect. Then from there, you move on, and you try to find yourself a receiver. If you've traded the 18th pick, then you're probably going to be looking at in the 2nd round. This is a deep draft class for receivers again. That is something that has happened this year. You're going to have deep receivers, deep quarterback class. I do think that you're going to probably waste a 3rd round pick, maybe even a late 2nd on a quarterback. You'd say, well, why not? Because this quarterback class is deep. It's worth it to get those guys in there. So then we sit there and we go on from there. And I think that that's how you rebuild Miami. You're going to get hopefully a Najee Harris, a Chuba Hubbard, even a Travis Etienne out of flipping Clemson. I think are all good backs. That could change your team. Chuba's name is not being spoken so much because he didn't really have a great year this year. But I think he'd be a perfect fit in Miami. Chuba had a lot of trouble with his coach. So that was a big thing. Sorry for some odd reason. kind of getting some itchies. So now we're going to move on to our next part of the segment, which is going to be NFL coaches. Holy moly. We are filling jobs left and right, but there's 3 jobs that I think have been filled perfectly. One of the jobs I think might get questioned. So the first job that I think has been filled perfectly is actually probably my favorite job that got filled, which was Dan Campbell going to the Detroit Lions. You might say Dan Campbell. A lot of people may not even know who Dan Campbell was. Dan Campbell was down in New Orleans. Dan Campbell is a player's coach. When Miami fired, I cannot think of his name, the ex-Green Bay Packers coach, or Green Bay Packers offense coordinator that we had as our coach, Joe Philbin. There we go. They basically promoted Dan Campbell to interim head coach. The players loved Dan Campbell. That was exactly what happened. The players loved him. I think in Detroit you're going to get that. You're going to get a coach that the players love him, but I also think that you're going to get a coach that's going to be paying attention to the details. And I do think that if Detroit decides Stafford is worth another year or two, which I think he is, Campbell will have that team in the playoffs. So that's going to be a good big thing there. As y'all can see, Fred's over here joining us behind me. So I do think that that's a good thing. I think that's a big thing that's going to happen. Let's see, what else? You got the Robert, and I might say his last name, Saleh, going to the Jets. I think that is a great move. He was an amazing defensive coordinator. And I think that the Jets saying, hey, let's focus on the defensive ball and allow the offensive to work will be good. I do think that in both those scenarios, building a coaching staff is going to be a big deal. They both are going to need to bring coaching staffs around them. So those are 2 huge moves, I think. The last move that I think is going to be Urban Meyer going to the Jags. Now, many of you might say, I believe that this is a great fit. NFL and college is 2 very different things. And the biggest thing with like the NFL versus college aspect of it is there's 2 really big things. In college, you're recruiting. I mean, so college football is literally a 365-day job. And the college as well, these players, albeit are young men, are still kind of in that kid aspect of it, where coaches can be a little bit more strict and basically a little more lenient with what they say. And the players will still respect that. The NFL, not so much. The NFL, you get into the NFL, these are grown men. These are men that don't want you talking to them. And so what is really crazy about that whole thing is, really I go back and I look at coaches that have succeeded from college to NFL, and there's not a lot of them. But one of the ones that has done it a lot better more recently is going to be Pete Carroll. Yes, you heard me. Pete Carroll has done it really well. He's won a Super Bowl after he kind of got kicked out of USC because they were paying and this and that. So, but Pete Carroll has done it well. I think Urban Meyer will be a lot like Pete Carroll. One coach that I think that did it really bad, and there's a really good story behind that I just found out about the other day, is Nick Saban. Nick Saban is a college coach. He was not able to make it at the NFL level. But a story I did not know about the other day, or till the other day, was that Nick Saban down in Miami decided to call out 2 players while down there. Those 2 players not happy with Nick Saban. Those 2 players wound up, let's be honest, threatening to beat the crap out of Nick Saban. One of those players would be Dante Culpepper. And if anybody is a Miami fan, you will understand that Dante Culpepper was probably Miami's biggest mistake ever made because we had a chance to sign Drew Brees. And the other player is Zach Thomas. You might say, how do you hear about this? Well, Jay Glazer, who does a lot of reporting for Fox Sports, was actually the one that broke this. And Jay Glazer is another one of those that you believe. His character and stuff like that has never been into question. So, with that, the second player, so the first player, which is Dante Culpepper, I guess had to be held back from security because he was really going to beat Nick Saban. Well, the second player, which is Zach Thomas, Nick Saban questioned his toughness. I've been a Dolphins fan since the 90s. I was born in 89. So since I was basically little, I've watched Dolphins football. Let me tell you, there are many players in the Dolphins organization through the years that I would have questioned their toughness. Zach Thomas is not one of them. So Zach Thomas, feel free to beat up Nick Saban. So I don't think that you're going to see that with Urban Meyer, though. I think Urban Meyer is going to be one of those that he is going to respect his players, as he has shown throughout his college coaching career. That's not to say he's not going to be hard on his players, but he is going to respect his players, and he's going to be a player's coach. And I think that the Jaguars will be relevant in the next probably 2 to 3 years. I think that next year they're still going to struggle. I don't think they're going to struggle near as bad this year. You're looking at maybe 4 to 5 wins. So I think that that's a good thing. And the way the NFL schedule works out, that they'll play basically every bad team in their conference. So I do think 4 to 5 wins is noticeable next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens with their draft after they draft Trevor Lawrence. I think a big thing with the Jags is that they need a wide receiver. They're going to need weapons for Trevor Lawrence. So that's a big thing. All right. Well, that's kind of my take on the NFL coaches, the NFL storylines. This is pretty much an NFL thing. There's one other thing that I want to get to, or a couple other things I want to get to. The NFL playoffs. This weekend we have the AFC and the NFC championship game. It is Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers with Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. And it is Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, if he can get out of concussion protocol, in Kansas City versus Buffalo. This is crazy. It really is. You look at the NFC, it's like the old geezers. Hey, you're still around. You look at the AFC, it's like the young bucks. It's like, hey, look at the old geezers. They're still around. I mean, so it's going to be very interesting. We look at those two matchups. Man, it is hard to pick against Green Bay. Green Bay, going into Green Bay in January, it's going to be cold. It's probably going to be snowing. Everything on your body is going to be hurting. But, with that being said, I think Tampa Bay wins 20-13. I think that most of this game is going to be a defensive shootout. And I have to look and say who has the better defense. And to me, that is Tampa Bay. That is how you win games in the playoffs. We go the other line. Kansas City versus Buffalo. This game, I think, is going to be a little different, especially if Patrick Mahomes plays. You're going to be in Kansas City. It's going to be cold, but both of these teams know how to play in the cold. They're both northern teams. They both have been dealing with that for the last several months. I think that this is going to be an offensive shootout. But with that, just like my other prediction, defense is what wins you games this time of year. So I have to go with who I think will have more defensive stops, and that will be Buffalo. In a game in which I believe that it'll be 35-32 with Patrick Mahomes having the ball, driving down the field, and somehow, someway, Buffalo's defense stands up. So those are my NFL playoff predictions. Again, NBA, not a lot happening this week. I did last night watch the Orlando Magic versus Minnesota game, and congratulations to Cole Anthony for hitting that game winner. That was nuts. It was an amazing shot. Also, you saw the big three in Brooklyn finally make their debut. Again, one of the things I think a lot of people have pointed out, yes, we know that y'all are going to score. You got Kevin Durant, you got Kyrie, and you have James Harden. Y'all are going to score like crazy. But here's the thing. Can you play defense? Last night, no. So those are some big things that happened. Early in the week, you did have James Harden and Kevin Durant make their debut together against Orlando. Again, they struggled playing defense, but they were able to outscore Orlando. And James Harden went for a triple-double in his first game, and Kevin Durant, I think, went for 42. So, big things. Another big thing coming up this weekend is it is a jam-packed weekend. You have the playoffs, but you have McGregor versus Poirier. I think McGregor wins. And I think that we all want to see, what's his name? Khabib versus McGregor fight. All right, with that is Sports Chat with Cbass. My real name's Sebastian. But with Cbass, throw down in the comments what you want to hear us talk about next week. Throw down in the comments, maybe if you disagree with me. Throw down in the comments if you agree with me. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, you all have a great whatever, because I don't know when you're watching this. But I just want you to continue to have a great life and to have things just be blessings for you. Peace.